I know of no more encouraging fact than the unquestionable ability of man to elevate his life by conscious endeavor. Henry David. What up, YouTube? BD here, and this morning I was reading one of my favorite books of all time. It's The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen R. Covey. Honestly, this book helped me land my first couple of clients when I first started out in digital marketing, doing websites, logos, Google work for clients. And I was reading over the first part, proactivity versus reactivity, and I was reading over a section called listening to our language. And our language is a real indicator on if we're a reactive person or we're a proactive person. And day to day, the language we use ultimately affects our behavior and who we are as a person. So if you have proactive language, or if you use proactive language, you're ultimately showing that you're in control of your actions. And if you're using reactive language, you're ultimately absolving yourself from the problem or absolving yourself from the action that you did. So for example, that's me. That's just the way I am. So when somebody uses that reactive type of language, they're absolving themselves from the responsibility and saying, it's nothing that I can do about it. I was born like this. So if this happens, oh, I'm going to snap because that's just the way I am. How about another one? This girl makes me so mad. Again, I'm not responsible. My emotional life is governed by this girl. So this girl does something, oh, she makes me so mad. She does that, again, she can make me so mad. So again, I'm not in control. Her actions are making me mad. So this is a reactive language. And when I said she makes me mad, I'm absolving myself of that responsibility. Here's another good one. I can't do that. I just don't have the time. Something outside of me, limited time, is controlling me. How about this one? If only my boyfriend or girlfriend had more patience. If only my wife or husband had more patience. Again, if my wife had more patience, I could do X, Y, Z. Someone else's behavior is limiting my effectiveness. How many times do you hear that? Oh, if this guy could do this, or if this girl could do that, or if this didn't happen, or if that, then I would this. So outside factors limiting your effectiveness. This is reactive language. Here's a simple one. I have to do it. Again, circumstances or other people are forcing me to do what I do. I am not free to choose my own actions. Now let's take a look at some reactive language versus some proactive language. There's nothing I can do. Let's look at our alternatives. That's just the way I am. I can choose a different approach. He makes me so mad. I control my own feelings. They won't allow that. I can create an effective presentation. I have to do that. I will choose an appropriate response. I can't. I choose. I must. I prefer. If only. I will. And the whole spirit of reactive language is to transfer the responsibility. I'm not responsible. I'm not able to choose my response. So he has this little example here of him and a student, and the student was asking him to go on a tennis trip. So he goes, one time a student asked me, will you excuse me from class? I have to go on a tennis trip. He responds, you have to go or you choose to go. The student replies, I really have to go. Stephen replies, what will happen if you don't? The student goes, why, they'll kick me off the team. How would you like the consequence? Stephen says, I wouldn't. So in other words, you choose to go because you want the consequence of staying on the team. What will happen if you miss my class? I don't know. Stephen says, think hard. What do you think would be the natural consequence of not coming to class? Kid goes, you wouldn't kick me out, would you? Stephen says, no, that would be a social consequence. That would be artificial. If you don't participate on the tennis team, you don't play. That's natural. But if you don't come to class, what would be the natural consequence? And then the kid goes, I guess I'll be missing the learning. Stephen says, that's right. So you have to weigh the consequence against the other consequence and make a choice. Stephen says, I know if it were me, I'd choose to go on the tennis trip. but I never say I have to do anything.
Jesus Christ.
Then the student goes, he says meekly, I choose to go on the tennis trip. And then Stephen kind of messes with him and says, I missed my class?
He needs some milk!
So we can see on a day-to-day basis, we consistently use language that ultimately absolves us of responsibility, and in turn, that's affecting our day-to-day behaviors in our life. The serious problem with reactive language is that it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. People become reinforced that they are determined, and then we start producing evidence and coming up with things to support that belief. So my question to you guys is, what kind of language are we using on a day-to-day basis? Can we examine this, and can we see the underlying energies that are truly controlling our day-to-day? So saying things like, this girl makes me mad, that's reactive language. Saying I can control my own feelings, that's proactive language. And I think it's very important that we watch what we say, because running away from responsibility is never going to get us to where we need to be. So that was just my quick 2 cents on reactive language versus proactive language. Let me know what you guys think and how you guys can start implementing more proactive language. I know myself, we all get caught in reactive language, absolving ourselves from the responsibility. And how can we start using some more proactive language? Once we start using proactive language to help us to take more control over our life and not have outside circumstances govern us, and we don't feel like we're not in control. Video, drop a like, subscribe, and BD out.
So they wanna kick it with a gangster. Suit up, got me blast up, yeah. I'ma fuck you like a monster. Deal with a top boy, yeah. So they wanna kick it with a baller. Big bags and we can't